From the Fidelity Bank Foundation Studio, PBS Kansas presents One-on-One with Victor Hogstrom.
From the hangars of Wichita aircraft industry to the front porches of our local neighborhoods. On this edition of One-on-One, we'll explore a life built on leadership, craftsmanship, and the thrill of new challenges. My guest today spent over 3 decades in the aircraft industry, serving in leadership roles for Cessna and Learjet. He could have retired, but he says he's just not wired that way. He took his corporate experience and applied it to a new mission, building his own business. That commitment to excellence was recently honored when he was named the National Franchisee of the Year. He's the owner and operator of Mr. Handyman of the Wichita Metro Area. He is Bob Skidmore. Coming up, we'll discuss his childhood ambitions, what brought him to the air capital, and his philosophy on creating good jobs for Kansas craftsmen. A fascinating half hour is ahead as I go one-on-one with award-winning entrepreneur Bob Skidmore right now. Hello and welcome to One-on-One. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and my guest tonight is a proven leader who has shown that the best way to build something new is to do it yourself or hire him to do it. It's a pleasure to welcome Bob Skidmore to the program. Mr. Handyman, Bob Skidmore. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's an honor.
Let's begin by asking you to tell us about your childhood and where you grew up.
Okay. I grew up on the family farm about an hour east of Kansas City. We had about 400 acres there, hills, trees, bottom ground for corn, soybean, and hay. We had cattle and hogs, and of course I was there with my 3 brothers, and I was very lucky. We had a great childhood on the farm. A lot of hard work, but then I consider myself lucky because I got to spend all day with my family, my mother, my dad, and my brothers.
So were you a handy kid as you were growing up? Were you good at hammering stuff, nailing and fixing things up around the house?
I guess so, because I worked there and I worked with my father, and he was the farmer. And he didn't hire anybody to do anything. He could do everything. So yeah, if he had a project on the farm that required hammering or sawing, we were there, you know. But it was more a lot of farming and fence building and fence fixing and fixing tractors and hay rakes and balers and grinding a lot of corn. And but he was there, and I'm reminded I think it was my first paying job. I was 9 years old, and my father got a job on the side to roof a house, and he paid me to carry shingles up and down the ladder. So I didn't nail the shingles in, but I fed him shingles. So yeah, it was fun.
So what were your ambitions as a child, as you were growing up? I'm sure just nailing stuff was not one of them, but
yeah,
what were they?
I always wanted to, you didn't think much about what your career was going to be. You just worked every day on the farm and did your thing. But I was always drawn to technology and, machines. And I kind of knew in junior high, high school that, I wanted to have a career in engineering and technology some way or another.
So what did you do about it?
Well, when I was in high school, I took the required classes, and I also entered the VOTEC program for auto mechanics, which was, for me, a great experience and a great learning experience. One, it gave me a vocation to get myself through college, and then also there was a lot of technical learning there that I was able to apply later in life. Matter of fact, an interesting story, when I interviewed for my engineering job at Cessna Aircraft, met with a great man, and he interviewed me, and he was asking me questions, and he was talking about an actuator that drives an elevator. And he said, now Bob, if I want this to only go in one direction and not back drive in the other, what do I do? And I said, well, you put a sprag clutch on the shaft, and the sprag clutch is from an automatic transmission, so it can't drive in reverse. And he closed his book and said, we're done. And he took me to HR and they offered me a job. So
Really?
my auto mechanics experience,
So
I think,
the
got me.
answer was the right one he was looking for.
It was the right one he was looking for, yes. And he wasn't looking for somebody that had all the answers, but just somebody that could think. As he told me, you don't know anything yet, but I think you've learned how to learn.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
he's a great man.
Where did you get your engineering training?
Well, I went to CMSU, UCM now, and got my technology training and took my math and physics and such as that there. But that's where I got my education, was at University of Central Missouri, there in Warrensburg, in my hometown. And then the first job at Cessna was kind of on-the-job training. So
Okay. How did you find out about that job?
I think my current wife's had a friend that worked there, and they had a couple of openings, and he told her about the openings.
Okay,
And then I applied, and I got one of them.
okay. Now, you spent 31 years in the aircraft industry here in Wichita.
Yep.
What initially attracted you to aviation?
I always wanted to fly.
Really?
Yeah, my dad was a farmer, but he and another farmer had an Aeronica Champ small airplane. My dad had his pilot's license, and then this other farmer who I hauled a lot of hay for, he was a pilot in World War II, and a private pilot all of his life. So that's where the interest in flying came from.
Did you ever fly?
I did. In fact, I initially was going to be a professional pilot, and that's why I was going to school. But I graduated from high school in '78, so 81, 80, it's a pretty big recession hit. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the professional pilots were coming to the University of Central Missouri to teach classes because they were getting furloughed from the airlines. So I was spending all this money on flight training, and I thought, well, that might not be a very good investment. So I kind of shifted to more math and science and business courses, and it worked out.
So what was the most significant leadership lessons that you learned during your aviation stint, 30-year stint?
Work hard, treat everyone, especially those that report to you, with dignity and respect, and encourage more than criticize. And there's a lot of talk about holding people accountable. And I hope, or what I tried to do, was before I held somebody accountable, I tried to hold myself accountable. Did I give them the tools that they needed to succeed? Did I give them the training that they needed to succeed? Did I do everything on my part to make them succeed? So in other words, hold myself accountable first.
Right. So give us a little path toward your growth in the aviation industry. You started off where and ended up where?
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about growth, and I'll say it 3 or 4 times. I had a lot of success. I had significant success, but it's not because of me. It's because of the people that I worked for or the people that I was exposed to. I am one of the luckiest people in the world because of those who I was exposed to. So, to that, I started off in engineering, and I didn't know much, but I was around a lot of folks that did, and they taught me and trained me. So for the first 7 years, I was what you call a design engineer, and primarily responsible for the hydraulic system on the new airplane that Cessna was building at the time. And that was a lot of fun. So for 7 years, I was a design engineer for hydraulic systems, landing gear, wheels, brakes. Not a lot of structural stuff, but that took most of my time. And it was a great run. And at that time, Cessna was smart enough to have a customer service engineering department that was the front line to all the customers on technical issues. Mm-hmm. And they invited me to come work for them, and I did, still in landing gear, wheels, and brake, but now instead of one airplane, it was all of the citations. So that was citation, customer service, technical services. That was a fantastic job because I got to talk to customers all day. I got to talk to people in customer service engineering, and then I got to interface with everyone at Cessna to resolve technical issues on the airplane, be they design or be they manufacturing opportunities or whatever. But I did that, and then, I don't know, 10 years later, I was the manager of customer service engineering, so I had all the disciplines for all the citations, and again, that was a wonderful job because of the people I worked with. You know, the customers, again, people in customer service, and then the people at Cessna. And that gave me a lot of interface with program management, and then they asked me to go back to the factory or go back across the ramp and work in as a product director. So then I was responsible for building the Citation 10. Anyway, I was in that group for 10 years, and then you're responsible for the manufacturing, the engineering, the quality. At one point, for the 10, the Citation XL and the Sovereign. But again, a great opportunity.
Well, you seem like you had a very significant role in the building of aircrafts in Wichita.
There were some short nights, sleepless nights. But I did. I had a significant role, but I was surrounded by outstanding people, and I don't want to say it made it easy, but it made it fun, rewarding. Probably rewarding more than fun.
Right.
To see the challenges met as a team and overcome as a team.
So you put in 30 years in the aviation industry. You could have retired and be relaxing and really enjoying life, so to speak, traveling and doing all the things that retired people do. But you decided that you were just not wired to retire.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was the right thing to do at that point. Like I say, I guess you know when you're ready and you know when you're not, and I didn't think I was ready to do that. And you know, I could have stayed in aviation, or I could have become a plant manager and looked at that, or I could have started my own business.
Right.
And I wanted to try my own business route.
And you went back then to the things you did on the farm.
I did, more or less.
Handyman, yeah. Mr. Handyman.
Right.
On the farm.
Yeah.
How did that get started?
Well, so you want to start a business, you want to be successful because you're sinking a lot of money and a lot of time in doing that. So, you know, I did some analysis of potential businesses. You know, an auto shop would have been fun for me because I've always been kind of a car guru, and I looked at that. But anyway, I looked at the handyman opportunity. And I like the term handyman because that doesn't limit you to door repair or leaky faucet repair. When you're a handyman, you know, you have a business that says handyman, you can do from A to Z when it comes to home and commercial building maintenance and repair. So it's a broad term, it's a broad market. People today don't have time to do it. People work pretty hard out there, and they don't have time. And when they come home, they want those things to be taken care of. People weren't raised on the farm. Fathers for a few decades haven't done a lot of home repairs, so then the children don't know how to do the home repairs. So they don't have the time, they don't have the know-how, and then a lot of the jobs that we do take some pretty expensive tools, and they don't have the tools. So I thought it was just a much needed service in our community.
The right tool for the job. That's the name of the game that you've just led us into. The right tool for the job.
Okay.
And I'll give you two options, and you tell me which one you prefer and why.
Okay.
All right. Fixing a leaky faucet or managing a payroll spreadsheet?
Oh, no doubt. Fixing a leaky faucet. I've done spreadsheets for 40 years. I like using my hands.
And you're tired of spreadsheets, right?
Well, not tired of it. You gave me a choice, okay? Yeah. I'd rather do the leaky faucet.
Okay.
But I'll do a spreadsheet probably before the day's out, too. But
a 30-year corporate career or a 3-year entrepreneurial adventure?
That's a hard question, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think
in your case, it's 10 years now.
Right, it says 10. I don't think I could have done one without the other, because I worked with and for a lot of people in my 30-year corporate career that taught me things that allowed me to be successful in the 10-year. But if I had to pick one, it would be the corporate career.
Replacing a front door or patching drywall?
Well, replacing the front door, because that's square and parallel and measuring. And when it comes to drywall work, now you're into artisan work. And my wrist can't run the drywall knife to make it look good, okay? Or without 100 sandings.
The structure of aircraft engineering or the variety of home repair?
At this point in my life, I really like the variety of home repair, because it's a new challenge every day. And I think that's why a lot of our craftsmen like working in the job that I have to offer, is because, you know, it can be 3 or 4 different somethings in one day.
Okay, and the next one is a franchisee of the year award, which you are, or a 5-star review from a neighbor?
5-star review from a neighbor. I mean, just knowing that you've made someone happy, the award is just kind of something they do at the end of the year, but to make someone happy, that's the objective.
Demolition day or finishing day?
I think it'd have to be demolition day. I think it's you're starting, you're committing to the project. I can tell you a funny story about demolition day if you want to hear it.
Go ahead.
So my daughter and her husband bought a house in Shawnee, Kansas, and they wanted a wall removed. And they're great people, but they're not really handymen. So I went up to remove the wall. Make a long story short, we demoed it, and my son-in-law was shocked when I came in with a chainsaw at one point to do some of the demo in his house. And then I got out a pretty big metal grinder to cut some pretty serious metal that was in the floor. He was pretty surprised there too. So demo day can be pretty exciting and challenging, because you never know what you're going to find when you start peeling back the onion or the drywall or whatever in this case. Right.
But what about the pride in the end when the job is finished?
Oh yeah, I mean it's huge.
Okay.
To see the finished product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A power drill or a hammer?
Power drill, yeah.
Training a new employee or completing a job yourself?
It's always good to train a new employee and see them grow and develop, and it's always good. It's always rewarding, but I will have to say that in my case at this point, I've got 15 guys on staff, and they're training me, when it comes to some of the various disciplines. So,
summer maintenance or winter weatherproofing?
Summer maintenance. I like being outside in the sunshine and the wind. And
the thrill of the challenge or the peace of retirement?
Well, today it's still the thrill of the challenge, because I'm sitting here with you and the business is still open.
Right.
But still, I like the thrill of the challenge still.
Okay, let's go back to your engineering career. Why did the pause of the L-85 program at Learjet become the moment you finally decided to start your own business?
Well, it's a transition point. So, I could have stayed in the corporate world or started my own business. And I was 55, wanted to continue to work, wanted to continue to make money, and I wanted to have something to do. So then you get into this risk management or risk evaluation. And I could have joined another firm at 55. And how long would that have lasted, Victor? 2 years? 10 years? You don't know. Yeah. New vice president comes in 2 years later, or 4 years later, and now, I could be replaced with someone that they prefer. And now I'm 59. Who's going to hire a 59-year-old? or that was a fear. So I guess I just thought it was a good transition point, great time to do it, and so I did.
I know you work in many homes repairing and fixing things up, and you have an observation, I'm sure, but tell us about this observation. What is the most common maintenance issue you see Wichita homeowners neglecting?
I think Wichita homeowners really do a pretty good job of identifying things that need to be repaired, but relative to neglect, it would be something that can cause further subsequent damage. So that would be like a leaking window or a leaking door that's allowing water to get somewhere where it's not, or bad siding, and then you get additional damage. So if you let the window leak behind the siding, now you're going to rot the boards behind the siding, the sheathing behind the siding. Same can go for the entry door. If you let that water or that drip come in, and now the drip gets into the subfloor, now you not only have to replace the door, but now you got to replace the subfloor. So I don't know, I guess maybe, undesirable water entry would be. Same thing in bathrooms, if you've got a leak in the toilet or a leak in the tub and it gets into your bathroom subfloor, it just fix it before it kills, damages the subfloor.
Right.
Good question, but I think that's what we
You see that a lot in your work?
We do. We replace a lot of subfloors, a lot of siding, a lot of sheathing. Yes, we do.
Now, you were recently named Mr. Handyman Franchisee of the Year. What does that national recognition mean to you?
Well, it means a lot, because your hard work's paid off and you finally, accumulated the numbers in revenue to be number one in the system through, and it's not just number one in revenue numbers, but net promoter score and some other things. But I guess to answer your question, what does it mean? It means that I've built a great team. I've collected a great team. And as I've said 100 times, that award's not my award. It's those people who work in that business. And that's what's rewarding, is to know that you got a great team that performs every day.
And how many are on your team?
About 22 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about the thrill of getting up in the morning. How do you maintain that optimism today when facing daily business challenges?
How do I maintain the optimism? Well, I think some days I get up and I think, wow, I don't think we're going to make it through this day. I don't think I'm going to make it till noon. But I will reflect and say, I won't, but my team will. And with this team, we'll get it done, because there are challenges, overscheduling, underscheduling, weather delays, materials don't show up, and you don't want to disappoint a customer. So
looking back, Bob, at your journey from engineer to business owner, what are you most proud? What are you most proud of building?
I think it's got to be, people and teams. I saw one of the people that worked for me at Cessna 15 years ago. And he said, hey, I really enjoyed working for you. You always made us think it was our idea, and it wasn't. But you made us think it was. So I guess you say proud of building is building teams and building people and treating them with dignity and respect, always being honest, and encouraging people. In 1921, get my names right here, Andrew Carnegie was a pretty big steel guy, right?
Right.
He hires a guy named Charles Schwab to run some of his steel business, if not all of his steel business. Charles Schwab didn't know that much about steel, but Carnegie hired him because he could lead people. And Schwab will tell you the way he led people was he didn't berate them, he didn't criticize them. He said you'll get 10 times as much out of a person by encouraging them, and that's what he focused on, and that's what he did. I have not been successful in doing that 100% of the time, but I try.
So what has been your toughest business decision?
It's always tough when you add a staff person. In my case, it would be, a customer service representative. And, they are important to our business too, the people that answer the phone and schedule the technicians, and or hiring another carpenter. Because again, I want to treat people with dignity and respect. And if I hire another carpenter, I want to make sure, I want to be very confident that I have enough work that I can keep him and 40 hours of work a week. In other words, not hire someone and then only be able to, because that's what they've been exposed to and used to. And I don't want to do that.
Right.
So that's a tough decision when you say you want to add, you want to make sure. But
So, Bob, what's been your biggest missed opportunity in your mind?
in my business or life in general?
In general.
Missed opportunity. And I think it turns out it wasn't a missed opportunity, but it kind of was when 1981 or 80, I decided I'm going to get out of this pilot business and go somewhere else. I think that was a missed opportunity. I think I could have been a pretty good pilot. And I was. I had got my license, but that was just the beginning. So, but the other route worked out too. And I think it's, I don't know, a God thing or just a luck thing. We all kind of gravitate towards what we are, what we're born to do. And I think I just kind of accidentally gravitated, towards what I did.
What's the word that describes you best?
Word that describes me? That depends on who you talk to.
So then let me rephrase that. What would your friends say about you?
I'm going to give you the answer that we were at dinner last Friday night, and a friend whose next door neighbor was a customer told the story about we worked in her friend's house and we made a mistake. I think a floor got wet.
Uh-oh.
But her friend told my friend that we took care of it. We did the right thing. So I hope they'll say honest, because we want to end the day being honest, and we want to maintain our integrity in every respect.
And finally, your goal yet to be achieved.
I had my first granddaughter 5 weeks ago.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
my goal is to be a great grandfather to
She
that.
will watch PBS Kansas Kids as she grows up.
Victor, I raised my kids on PBS Kansas, and
All right.
I know that Meredith and her husband will do the same thing.
And this is the family in Kansas City.
Yeah. This is the middle daughter in
Right.
Shawnee, right?
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Bob
having
Skidmore.
me. Thank you so
It's been a
much.
pleasure having you.
My pleasure. My honor. Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to watch. Our email address is oneonone@kpts.org. That's if you have a question or comment. I'm Victor Hogstrom. Be well, and I'll see you again soon.